I'm here with Leinster, Ireland Lions, and Buccaneers centre Robbie Henshaw. Robbie, how are you keeping?
Good, Brian. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good stuff. So first up, congrats, Irish Players Player of the Year recently. Congrats on that.
Cheers. Thanks a million. Yeah, it's a really nice award to win, and especially because it's kind of your peers that vote for you. So yeah, it's a special one, and one that a lot of great players have won down throughout the years. So yeah, incredibly grateful and delighted with it. Yeah.
Yeah, you seem to be enjoying yourself this year.
Yeah, it's been a good year. Considering like what's gone on around the world, I think playing in empty stadiums and stuff like that was a shock at the start. But kind of for me, I just enjoyed just being able to do my job and be able to train, be able to play week in, week out, and really kind of had that attitude, that positive attitude to, wanting to keep my performances high and just be positive with everything I was doing, and that kind of reflected onto into how I kind of played and how my season went personally.
Yeah, cool. And you say there, like, being grateful to be back out. Like, even myself, like, for COVID, we didn't do anything, but then was coaching and playing
Mm.
this fall. And I think it's so important to just be grateful to have the opportunity. Like, is that something that you kind of realized recently, or have you done that for a few years?
No, it was probably I've always been grateful to play rugby as my job, but I suppose that kind of hammered home the point that when I was able to do it, when the whole world was basically had come to a standstill, that really like I suppose hammered at home that we were lucky to be in the position we're in, and being still being able to play rugby, and it was just that. Yeah, I think the whole year of playing in the empty stadiums, kind of made that kind of more aware to me. So yeah, no, it was definitely helped. The whole COVID thing helped by reinforcing that.
Yeah. And it must be sick then getting back to the stadiums, getting back into the RDS last week and into the Aviva.
Yeah, so such a change. Like I suppose my first game where there was about 60% capacity, I think it was Murrayfield for the Lions versus Japan warm up game. So that was like an unbelievable game to go back
Yeah.
into kind of a half full stadium, great buzz there and stuff. So and now yeah, it's just normal now. It's great to see. I suppose the Viva full and the RDS pretty much full the last few weekends. It's really great to have people back in cheering us on, and it makes a huge difference as well for us on the pitch. It gives us that bit more of energy and just excitement to be out there.
Yeah, yeah. And you just mentioned there the Lions. How was that getting selected and heading off?
Yeah, it was really good. I loved the whole Lions experience back in 2017, and if I'm being honest, it was top of my list probably for the last couple of years anyway, just to try and get on the squad and see how it goes. But so I suppose building to that was one of my big goals for the last few years. But yeah, like the whole thing is mad. The whole experience, from finding out, when you're on the squad, you find out like everyone else in the world through Sky Sports, like,
Yeah,
so you're sitting at home, watching the TV. I was trying to make myself as busy as possible and not
yeah,
look at it, but yeah, it's a bizarre experience. And then I suppose again going down to South Africa with no crowds, no like traveling support. That was really different to what New Zealand was like, because the buzz of the traveling supporters who came from Europe was incredible. So it was different, but again, probably the group was closer. In South Africa, we all had to make an effort to know one another you weren't able to escape out of the hotels or get out for a coffee with anyone or meet
Yeah.
anyone outside. So I think that made us closer as a group, and I think the group gelled really well. So there's some great people that I'll stay in touch with from the tour.
Yeah. What kind of boys from outside of Ireland did you get on with?
Funnily enough, we a lot the Irish English connection and it was big, even though you wouldn't think it.
Yeah.
We like myself and Bundy Aki got on really well with Elliot Daly, Jamie George, Johnny Hill, and Owen Farrell. There was a nice group of us there that we'd play a bit of FIFA in Conor Murray's room a good bit. I'm sure you saw some of Bundy's stories.
Yeah.
Boasting about his wins and stuff like that. But yeah, no, we to be honest, everyone there was great lads. Finn Russell's a really good guy. There was Stuart Hogg, really good guy. Dan Bigger, they're all top blokes, and we'll always have those memories from that tour. To look back and have a chat about in the future.
Yeah, yeah, it's cool. And it adds another bit of an edge then when you come up against each other, doesn't it? It's like it's cool playing against friends and guys you know.
Exactly, yeah. It adds a bit more excitement, and then when you're playing on the pitch and you have a sly dig or a cheeky word, you can laugh it off after. And whereas probably before the tour, it would have been all serious business, and you would have been pretty straight to each other on the pitch. But we could probably have a laugh now as well in big international games, which is kind of funny as well. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Was I could be wrong now. Did I see the last year yourself and Jack having a bit of a go at each other at a couple of edge of a mall and something else? I was laughing.
yeah, myself and Jack, he sent me a message before the game, being like, "This is the first time, we'll actually play against each other properly." So, myself and as you know yourself, myself and Jack have played together in Buccaneers and in the Marist and in Connacht, since we were 8 years of age. So
Yeah,
it was the first time competitively playing against one another. So yeah, we had a few jokes while say I was tackling him or he was tackling me. We were messing. So
giving it to each other.
yeah, yeah, no, it was a bit of crack as well, and fair play to Jack. He's really playing great stuff, and he was really good last weekend. So it's great to see it.
Yeah, yeah, he's flying it. And then with the lines you mentioned there, like being on it in 2017 and then wanting to get on it again, like I can imagine, obviously, yeah, 100% you want to get on it. But
Yeah.
like, is that kind of in your mind when you're to drive you on? Is that kind of just a little motivator in the back of the mind that like I want to be the best in the four countries?
Yeah, do you know what? From 17, I kind of had a bit of a sour taste in my mouth after it because my tour got ended prematurely through injury, and I feel like I didn't get the chance to really give it a good go and give it a shot. I played in all the midweek games, but never really got to get into that kind of Saturday game where
Mm,
I don't know, was I maybe there was guys who were better than me in the team, but I felt that I could have offered more on that tour. But so I think coming home from that, I know I didn't fulfill my potential on the tour. Coming back from that, I was kind of had it in my head as like, keep it in the sight in the eye line for the next one and show what you can do in the build up to it. So kind of yeah, that was in my head, and probably that spurred me on a bit as well.
yeah, yeah. And that 2017 one, I just remember seeing a photo there. I was just recently, but you and Sonny Bill.
Yeah.
How was that? Was that a bit mad, like coming up against him, marking him?
Yeah, that was just like kind of boyhood dream stuff. I remember I used to watch him playing when I was in school, like in his
Yeah,
offloads, and went to watch him play. I think he was playing for Toulon and playing against Connacht in the sports ground. I'm sure you
yeah,
were at
I
that
was
game.
there.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, this is pretty surreal, like playing against him. And I was asked in the media beforehand, I was like, listen, yeah, like I'm not going to lie, I supported this guy or I looked up to this guy when I was a kid, and to be playing against him is a privilege. So, yeah, it was funny. On afterwards, he had a nice words to say. Come into the change room, we swapped jerseys and stuff like that. So got a photo together. It was just, yeah, it was class. And ever since I've played, I've only played him I think once since, but we get on well, and we'd have a chat after. So no, he's a top guy, a really top guy.
That's class.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was trying the Sunny Bill offload when we were off 15, 16,
Yeah.
17.
Sonny Bill
Uh,
Moyle, they were calling it.
oh, that's it. Yeah, yeah. And do you get that much still? Like, when you're a young lad starting out and you're like, say even like we were playing like Connacht Day in Thomond Park or something. It's like, oh,
Mm.
cool, we're playing Thomond Park for the first time. Or, oh, cool, we're playing here. Like, do you still get that like, oh, cool, I'm playing against the All Blacks in Eden Park? Or is it more like, this is my job, I just do what I do?
Good question. Probably I've kind of just adapted to it being my job at this stage. Yeah, I know that feeling, and yeah, no, I think I've that's kind of it's kind of gone. It's more of a habit now. It's kind of
Mm.
ingrained in me that this is what I have to do, and nearly the occasion is kind of put to the back of your mind, and like the settings put to the back of your mind, and you're just kind of solely focused on the job and the task at hand. So yeah, I did definitely the first few years I played in big stadiums, like say for Ireland and for Connacht and Leinster. Yeah, I always got that kind of feeling, the fresh grass or like the class
Yeah.
surface, like a carpet. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But now it's kind of like, yeah, just I'm kind of used to it now. Like,
Yeah, I think it's a good thing because you can kind of get a bit overawed as well.
mm,
If you're like taking in, I know I certainly did when I was younger, but like you're taking in the environment so much and
yeah.
it's kind of too much then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, no, I think it's definitely something when when we were younger and we're playing on pitches in the west of Ireland that are
Yeah.
fairly boggy and have a couple of inches of rainwater on them. When you get to a professional surface that it's like a carpet, you're just blown away by it.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And what you mentioned the FIFA playing with the boys, like what kind of other
Mm.
stuff do you do to outside rugby just to relax or
Yeah.
unwind?
While on tour,
Yeah,
um,
whenever, yeah,
yeah,
when on tour, yeah, I suppose you're on tour a lot, aren't you?
yeah.
Or in
When we were
camp a
on
lot.
tour, there was a lot of blackjack we played. Yeah, there was a good few lads involved in that. There's a good few pub kind of quizzes, kind of that we'd have. Yeah, it was good to just kind of get the whole group together. Um, Outside of that, coffees we'd consume liters of coffee a day. Like
Yeah,
just it's just an
yeah,
essential component of our diet.
yeah,
Yeah, and then like there was a big emphasis on recovery. So like we were delighted that we had like a big spa facility to ourselves in Cape Town, in Hermanus, a resort just outside of Cape Town. So you spend hours in the sauna, like between the sauna, pool, ice bath. We found that to be great. So yeah, we spent a lot of time there, and then actually our bagman, Paddy O'Reilly, Rala, we'd spend hours up there drinking cups of tea, and he'd have like Tim Tams, he'd have like
yeah,
all sorts of sweets, chocolate, dairy milk, everything there for us. So we'd be up there, and that was actually a really good way of getting to know someone. Like a lot of the other teams, say like the Scottish guys, the Welsh guys, a lot of them would just wander up to Ralla's after training for a cup of tea and just sit down. Now Ralla had the best room in the house. He'd have probably like a two-story kind of house or two-story penthouse he'd have with like a sauna in it and stuff, and like a massive lounge
the
area. So
king.
yeah, so he had the best room, and we'd all just go up there and chill. It was actually class. So that's how we kind of got to know everyone as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. And it's funny you say there, like, sit back, have a cup of tea, eat a few Tim Tams and a bar of chocolate.
Yeah,
Like, I think I chat to young lads and it's so serious.
yeah,
Like they think it just needs to be like, I need to be so serious, like
mm,
someone in an army and just do everything perfectly. And then,
yeah.
I don't know, there's so much to just relaxing and, just,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think once you have the balance that you work hard, you've worked hard during the day, that you can switch off and have, I suppose, a cup of tea in the evening and a biscuit, or We're advised to eat like dark chocolate. Is another way of substituting, say, instead of your dairy milk or whatever. But definitely, there's room that, say, on a midweek, say on a Wednesday, that you have to have a little break.
Yeah.
Just to make yourself feel a bit normal. You can't stay fully, I suppose, restricted for the full week, and you have to kind of reward yourself as well. I'd be a big believer in that.
Yeah. What would you have a few beers, or what would you like reward yourself, or what desserts, or
Yeah, definitely after a game, if we've had a tough game and a win, I'd have a couple of beers just to relax. So I'd have one in the changing room after a game. That's essential. It's just you sit down, and we'd have a big emphasis on,
yeah,
just hanging around after a game. You don't leave the changing room early. Don't pick up your phone straight away after a game. Just kind of settle down with the lads, and kind of embrace what you've done on the pitch, because I suppose that it's again like reward. You put in a hard week of preparation, and then when you pull through and put that onto the pitch and you're successful, you have to kind of reward yourself for it. So that's always a great feeling. I'd always love to have a pizza after a game, just to take away something nice, pizza or a burger.
yeah,
Probably Bunsen, or there's a place called Forge Pizza down the road from my house that's incredible. They're nice homemade pizzas, but yeah, definitely always after a game you'd have to get a takeaway.
yeah? Sure. Didn't I saw Michael Phelps there when he was training? He used to have like, was it two 16-inch pizzas, and
Yeah,
like his diet was like incredible. Like,
yeah.
yeah, pizzas, you got to get the calories in.
Exactly. Especially if you've burned a lot in the game, I think you can kind of ease off the throttle, and you're although like you do the focus on your carb load the day before a game is huge. So yeah, you have to get that right as well, and you would be wary of, say, you've taken in a lot of calories before a game and the night before a game. So then, say if I played on a Saturday, I'd probably only have a couple of meals on a Sunday. If I'd had my kind of treat on after the game, so I'd kind of take it easy on the Sunday and then kind of go again for the week.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned there the recovery with the sauna, ice baths, all
Mm.
that. I'll tell you a funny one, very random, but like about 6 months or a year ago, I put up a thing on LinkedIn about going for a swim in the sea
Yeah.
and whatever. And I was like, oh, it's class, blah, blah, blah. And then two or three people commented underneath, and one person goes, "Oh, I see Robbie Henshaw down in the lake whenever he's at home or in the river or something. Like it's good, good for the body." So, and I was like, "Oh, yeah," but
Yeah.
that was a random one. But you like the cold water?
Yeah, I love it. Especially if you have a few bangs on your legs, or if you're nursing an injury. I feel it's class. Some people are on the fence around ice baths and cold water immersion, but um, I feel the benefits of it. I feel it massively. I know there's some people say there's not studies done on it, but I think it's down to what you get from it individually and how you feel before and after. So yeah, I'd be a huge believer in it. Just I wouldn't be swimming now in the lake in the middle of winter, but I'd go down to my hips or my lower back. I'd stand in it and have like a towel, hat on, scarf on, like on my upper body.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, no, I definitely love it, and I feel it. It just after a game, like a lot of time, you go in, your legs are sore, but like you can't see anything in your legs. And then when you come out, and like they're bright red, and then you can see kind of the bruises appearing from the bangs. So there's something with the blood flow and circulation happening there, I think.
yeah. I 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
I've heard that as well. I've heard both sides. Like, oh, some people, I don't know, different studies or whatever. But I think it's unreal, and it's good for you. It's good for the head too.
100%. Would you be big into it?
Yeah, yeah, I try more and more. Like
Yeah.
I have a cold shower every morning.
Do you?
Like
Nice.
every morning. No negotiate with myself.
Yeah.
I used to dabble, and then now it's just get up, get into it for a minute,
Yeah.
and it just sets you go up. And
Yeah.
I try now with the swims in the sea, like
Yeah.
you just gotta once a week maybe I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The cold showers, I'm still getting used to. Would you go straight in for cold, or would you go hot then cold finish?
straight in. So I used
Exciting.
straight in.
Oh,
Yeah. So I use yeah, straight in. So I used to savage mode straight away. But I used to when I starting out, you go like you're warm
yeah,
and then towards you're kind of like
yeah,
lukewarm, not like piping hot
yeah,
then cold, but like lukewarm and then you go to kind of cold for 10 seconds,
yeah,
15 seconds, and you kind of build it up.
yeah.
And then there comes a day where you're just like you just go straight in. And the funny thing is that every single people go like, "Oh, does it get? It's easy. It must get easier, whatever, whatever."
Mm,
And it's like it kind of does, but it doesn't. It's like I know, I'm sure you're the same. When you go in and up to your back in the cold
mm.
water, it's not easy. You're
No.
still kind of like, "Oh,
Yeah,
jeez, this
yeah,
is
yeah,
oh."
yeah,
And it's the same with the cold showers. It's like
yeah,
every morning I wake up, it's like, oh, there's that like little bit of apprehension, that moment where it's like, oh, and I fiddle around with stuff and I'm like,
yeah,
and it's like, Brian, you got to get in.
yeah,
And then you get in, you have the cold shower, and
yeah,
you just feel you've kind of overcome adversity, or you feel good. And it shocks you, obviously,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it gets you going.
It's kind of like that little voice in your head. You're kind of like, oh, trying to distract you nearly and not allow it happen.
100%.
Yeah, yeah,
100%.
yeah.
It's and it's overcoming that, and it's
Mm,
I think a lot of stuff is overcoming that, and like we always want the easy route. Like I'm sure you find that a lot, like with training, doing extras in the
mm.
gym. It's like it'd be so easy to just
Yeah,
sit in the couch.
yeah, yeah. 100%, 100%.
Yeah, and with the sauna there, do you like that as well?
Yeah, massive into saunas. Yeah, I just feel the benefits of it. I find like it helps my sleep if I do it in the evenings before bed. Um, just my general feel how my body is. I feel like after a game, if I'm sore, it just helps that as well. And also looked up a bit of I've kind of seen studies on it and stuff, and definitely is there is health benefits from it. So yeah, anything that you kind of talk about these 1% gains, anything that helps your performance and your recovery, I'd be massively into it. So yeah, just trying to get it. I try to get a couple of saunas in a week as well, where I can. I used to actually do them on a Monday morning, like a 6:30 sauna Monday morning in the middle of winter, which is really nice way to start.
Yeah,
But I must get back into it now. That's going to be on the list now for January.
yeah. Saunas are unreal. I love them.
Yeah, yeah. I just
Yeah.
feel good after them. Are you the same?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Well, they've only been open for the last month here. So with COVID for literally 18 months, I used to have one, as you say, like same to you, like 5 days a week, six, like as much as I could. Even after work, I'd pop in for 20 minutes on the way home. But
yeah,
oh, you just feel incredible.
yeah, yeah. So good. Yeah.
Yeah. And we just, I was thinking there, like over your career, you kind of started out like as a 15 and played a lot of Gaelic football, obviously
Mm.
growing up, and that kind of like in open space, and then moved to 12 for a good while.
Yeah.
And we're kind of get over the game line, like you're just so good at getting over the game line and that like job. And now in the last year or two, you look to be playing a lot more at 13 and kind of playing a little bit like you did when you were younger. Would that be fair or no?
Yeah, I think it's again. I started at 15, where there was an injury crisis in Connacht. Whereas I kind of started my first game for Connacht in a preseason at 13, and then I think it was Gavin Duffy got injured in that game, and then they needed a 15, so I was put back there. But yeah, again, I think the correlation of the skills between Gaelic football and fullback, it suited me. I was very fit at the time. I was very light, but good in the air. Had good kicking skills at the time. So it kind of it all fell into favor, and yeah, I kind of just kicked on at 15. But then, as I kind of got, as I developed more as an athlete throughout the years, I probably got bigger, put on more weight, more size, and then kind of just there was a bit of a, I suppose, Brian O'Driscoll and Gordon Darcy had kind of retired or were retiring, and there was kind of a gap there to play at 12 or 13, and Jared Payne was coming into the Irish scene as well. So I think Joe Smith knew I played 13 and 15, and then kind of said he gave me a ring one day and was like, want to play at 12 for Connacht this week, and this was before, I think it was South Africa we played in the November series back in, God, it was 2014, 2015. And
Mm.
I played a game against Exeter at 12 for Connacht, the first game at 12 ever, and got on well. And then straight away, he threw me in at 12 against South Africa with Jared Payne outside me for my first home start, I think, against them in the Aviva. So, no, that was kind of how it developed. And then, yeah, I suppose always being able to play both. They're quite similar positions. 13's harder to defend at. But yeah, the last few seasons, I think I've kind of got that little bit more space. Look to probably how we play in both in Leinster and Ireland at the moment. Probably you've seen a little bit of a shift in how Ireland are playing under Andy Farrell, and
Yeah, you're balling.
yeah, yeah, we're moving the ball around but again, that's probably down to how we're playing and how you get some space when you move teams around, and probably it feels a little bit like when I used to play at 15, where I had all that space. That's kind of how it's happened, and how I've kind of gone throughout the last few years, which is I'm enjoying it as well. So it's been great.
Yeah, yeah. And was there like as you're going along, I know when we're younger it's always about weight, like put on weight and
Mm,
get big and this and that. And like did you feel that like obviously moving into 12 like
mm,
at the international level it's fuck it's you know
yeah,
it's tough in there and you do need to have a bit of size on you.
yeah.
Like was that a kind of part of developing that you kind of had to get big and are you still thinking about that or no?
Yeah, I suppose when I had to get to, say, I was aiming to get to the 100 kilo mark, and then when I was at 15, I was about 90, 96, 97. So there was a big swing of 4 or 5 kilos I had to put on. So I got there, and I was comfortable enough at 100. Then I went up to 103, I think, and it wasn't playing my best, was winning collisions and stuff like that, but that probably affected my running kind of fitness and capacity. So I think there is a balance. If you look to put on too much weight, it definitely affects you around the pitch, and definitely affects you towards the end of the game, kind of when you need your energy, So yeah, I kind of learned like what weight suits me best, and that's kind of around 99, 100 kilo mark. Wouldn't really look to be going anything above, but I used to struggle to put on weight, and now it's kind of different. I struggle to kind of or I'd struggle to kind
Y-
of stay lower, if you know what I mean. I don't
Yeah.
struggle to put it on, like. So yeah, it's funny how it changes throughout your career.
Yeah, as you get older, you need to watch the portion size there.
That's it. Yeah, that's the funny thing. When I retire, I was like, I don't want to be svelte. Like, I don't want to put on a few stone and be
Yeah, yeah, I don't
walking
want to get a
around.
big belly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned talking there like about when you're starting out at Connacht and whatever as a young lad. Like when we were playing twenties, it was the year before you're in sixth year, and then at the end of sixth year, you're like playing with the Marist in
Mm.
school,
Yeah.
and then straight into Connacht. Like
Yeah.
how was that like going from playing Connacht schools rugby to senior professional men's?
It was crazy, to be honest. Like, looking back at it, I was kind of like, my dad was having phone calls with the head coach Eric Elwood, and he was like, he's saying he's too young. He's just out of school. He's just out of school. He's not big enough. He's going to be injured.
Mm.
And Eric was promising him, he's like, he's not going to get injured. He's fine. He kept
Yeah,
saying to me and to dad, he's like, if he's good enough, he's old enough, blah, blah, blah. So that was there were the discussions that were happening in the background. And I suppose my mum was probably in my dad's ear, who was in Eric's ear. And
yeah,
because I was just I was just going into the academy. And then again, that kind of injury crisis happened in the preseason, which training away, kind of keeping the head down. And then I think again, even Nigel Carlin, the academy manager, was pretty hesitant to allow it happen. But I think they were just like, we need players. So thankfully, I got the nod and the call up, and I just kind of rocked in, and just kind of not wasn't confident, and really I wasn't massively confident, but I was just kind of like, just play rugby. do what you normally do, kind of what I've been doing, and the rest look after itself. Obviously, the hits are bigger, the game is faster, but you learn along the way, kind of, and that's kind of how I went about it. I was just constantly soaking up more information and kind of how the game was being played at this level, and just try to adapt really quickly.
Yeah. And then did you like become more confident as you're playing games, like, or training? Like, how did you, because you never went back then, like you got it. It's not as if then, like a lot of young lads, they get a couple games and they go play with the A's, then they go play.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you just kept going.
Yeah, but you know what? And it was huge. A few of the senior players were massive, kind of putting their arm around me. One of the main ones being Dan Parks, who was like the super signing of the year.
Yeah.
He was actually incredible. He gave me massive kind of confidence in myself, and always kind of just was easy to chat to. He was one of the oldest in the squad, most experienced, and he'd have the most crack with you. And early, his personality was incredible. He's cracking jokes, and he was brilliant for me. And he'd always just pull me aside, like, "You okay? What you doing this? Have a look at doing it this way." Just giving me little tips that helped me. But yeah, then once I got out to play actual competitive rugby, I think my performances were decent. They weren't excellent, but I was kind of just focusing on doing the basics well. That was a huge thing. Just executing the basics well, making your tackles, making good defensive reads, carrying hard and looking to find space, moving the ball to space, and just little things that I've been doing, and just try to bring that through. And then, I think the coaches saw that I was just doing the basics well, and that I could kind of compete at the level, and then kept kind of adding layer and layer to the performances, and that kind of helped me as well. And one thing was, a lot of teams mightn't have known who I was, and that's, you see a lot of players in their breakthrough year make
Yeah.
big moments, have big moments, and have great seasons, because like not a lot of teams know who they are, and there's not much study done on them. So that was also a big factor, and I was getting that little bit of, I suppose, that space that people mightn't have known who I was and stuff.
Yeah. Dan Parks was such a legend back then, iconic when he joined.
Yeah, he was incredible. Like, I remember, I think it was his first game we played together. He was his first start. I think he was injured at the start of the season, but we played Leinster at home in the sports grounds. And remember, he was playing. He had an unbelievable game, and I think there was one moment in the game I was kind of standing out on the left on the 15, and he was on the far side, um, um, the stand side, the lower stand side, and
Yeah.
there's a big enough wind blowing, and he like turned, the ball broke to him, and he turned, and he just saw me, and he like hit a cross kick to me, like, and I was like, he's unbelievable, unbelievable confidence and balls to do that, like with the wind that blows in the sports ground. I was like, doing that there was suicide effectively. We wouldn't
Yeah.
know what had happened, but ball landed straight in my hand, and we made like a good few meters off the back foot. So yeah, I remember enjoying that first game that we played together. Yeah, and he was brilliant.
Yeah, class. And I think I remember a couple of years ago, could be wrong, but chatting to Davey that he'd get a call then some nights, and after big wins or whatever from Dan Parks, yourself, and a few of the other boys out in the beer.
Yeah, Davey, my cousin, he's massive. He was a massive supporter, and all my scrum knowledge has to go to Davey. He played,
None.
obviously he played none. Yeah, no, he was brilliant. Great supporter, and his dad as well played. Himself and his dad played for Connacht. Davey played underage Connacht, and it was great. But his dad,
Yeah,
Davey Senior, played a lot for the senior team. But
yeah,
yeah, no, we'd have a good few nights out in Halo and Electric after the Friday Saturday nights. He'd come down from Dublin to make the
yeah.
celebrations.
Has to be done.
Mm.
And you say there, like Dan Parks, just the confidence to do stuff, to
Mm.
try things. Like, did you always have that, or does that come with experience?
I think it comes with experience, a little bit, but again, you need to have the confidence to back yourself and your ability. So they're kind of hand in hand. It probably grows with your experience. But just I remember that him doing that, and I was like, this is incredible. I remember him just like he'd be standing in the middle of the pitch, ball would come back to him, and he'd like drill a really low punt and just knock it in and bounce it 5 meters out from the line. Like he'd do things that you know
Yeah,
no, you wouldn't be able to do if you practice it 100 times. Just
yeah,
on the run, the way he's able to like ping the corners was special. But yeah, I think that comes from being in tough scenarios and repetitive kind of training at a kind of high level under pressure.
yeah. Have you had any other mentors or like people who've helped you along the way?
Probably a few of my dad's mates. A guy called Michael Cosgrave helped me along the way a lot when I was breaking through. He was actually a backs coach for Connacht back in the day. He played with Wanderers and coached Lansdowne as well, I think. I'm not going to say I think he coached Wanderers as well, but he helped me a lot, and he had really good rugby knowledge. So he was effectively a mentor for me. Um, yeah, Dan Parks probably it was a huge one. Trying to think. I suppose Joe Smith was incredible for me as a coach. Just the way he ingrained kind of habits and drilled like discipline into us. Discipline to in training, discipline it reflected around onto the pitch. So, he was brilliant. He was a brilliant coach. So yeah, there's a few. It's hard to. It's always hard to be be when you're playing at a high level to I suppose look after the new guys or the young guys coming up because you have so much stuff to work on yourself and to look after. So
Yeah,
I kind of get that in one sense when other players are busy and stuff like that and they don't have time. So I can see that from like even playing now you have so much on during the week that you just kind of you have to look after yourself first.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, good to saying I learned, I heard a while back was you got to put your own oxygen mask on first. If
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
trying to do everything to help everyone all the time, then you, fall down or whatever or
yeah.
slip behind.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Because then yeah, you won't have your stuff taken care of, and that's where when your performance or the team performance can suffer.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I remember reading in a paper before that when you went into the Ireland squad that O'Driscoll was really good in helping you settle in.
Yeah, in fairness to O'Driscoll, he sat in with me with like just to go through some video stuff. So he'd kind of ask me, "What do you think here? What do you think you should do here?" Like present me with kind of scenarios, situations, um, and look through video clips with me and see like just open the floor to me, and then he'd give his point. If he agreed or if he disagreed or if he, you know, it was
Yeah, yeah,
brilliant in that sense. Again, that was when we were both being coached by Joe Smith, so maybe Joe had a word as well with him to kind of to help me out as well because I remember going into that camp and just it was a different level, to what I was used to. So yeah, no, he definitely helped me and gave me some really good tips. On the pitch.
yeah, yeah. And what was it like with Joe Schmidt? Like every player talks like who was in that squad for those few years talks so highly of him and how he changed Irish rugby. And like, was there anything in particular that he put in that you kind of that helped you?
Um, I think his level, his attention to detail was always spoken about, and when he comes up with a three-phase play that works like exactly how he explains it, I think that's when you just say unbelievable. Like you can't question anything about it. Like
Yeah,
he can spot gaps or like opportunities in a defense like just like so easily. Like I don't know how, he must have watched like millions of hours of tape because
yeah,
some of his plays that obviously worked and we were successful with like how like you look at at tape that long and to find those little weaknesses within a defensive system, it's unbelievable stuff. So I think that was huge, just the attention to detail. Like you know, if you're cleaning out a ruck, clean out with your shoulder facing this way to stop the fold of the defender. And if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't score, you wouldn't make the break. Just
Yeah,
one little
wow.
detail like that. So that was huge. And then the habits thing, discipline as well. So the discipline and training, he'd always, no matter who you were in the squad, if you were, say, a foot offside or if you were late to cleaning out a ruck, he'd ping you, he'd blow the whistle, he'd stop everything. And that had just, you know, ingrained that discipline that you have to be on it every time you cross the line to train. And then do that during the week. You'll more than likely, 9 times out of 10, do it on the pitch on the weekend. So that was kind of his philosophy in terms of how he got the best out of us.
Yeah, that's class. And I certainly remember like a lot of those plays. Like I remember even was it Bundy going through one against England, but all those
Yeah.
was just like a hip slightly turned one way
Mm.
and boom, straight through.
Yeah.
And did all you boys then start driving that bus with the discipline, the kind of accountability? Because I'm sure maybe at the start, if someone's being so hard on you, a coach, there could be a bit of a, oh geez, would you give over? But I suppose when you're getting the results then and everyone sees how much it's working, do you boys then start kind of telling each other, get on side, don't cut corners?
Yeah, absolutely. When you see the results, they come off the back of it. You kind of, that's when you respect it. And then it becomes a habit because it's working for you. So yeah, then you effectively start coaching each other, which is
Mm,
probably a coach's dream as well, as he's not the only voice. That there's leaders within
yeah,
the team that are coaching the team. So I think that's where your group is between the coach and staff and the players. That's when they're in harmony.
yeah,
Um, and then you bring it, as you said, it's like a habit. You bring it with you, and you'll bring it onto the pitch on the weekend, and you'll use it on the pitch. But it's probably it's not giving each other a bollocking or telling each other off. It's just kind of, I suppose, constructive kind of criticism or feedback that you're just kind of for the betterment of the team. That you're not saying it, to give out shit to someone. You're saying it for the betterment of the team, and everyone can accept it then and move on quickly.
yeah. You're helping people along the way, so it's like everyone in the squad has the same goal, and you all want to be whatever hit that goal, and
Mm.
it's helping people. Like I was chatting to Matai Leuta, USA Sevens guy, and he said that they worked a lot on that in not taking it personally.
Mm.
So if someone says something to you, to be like not take it personally, and it's kind of easier said than done, because you turn around to me inside the field and go, come on, get work a bit harder to get on side. It's very easy for me to turn around to you and go, oh, would you piss off, like, look, you work, think about yourself, you know what I mean? it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very easy, like in the heat of it, but like they said they did a lot of work on not, don't take it personally, it's we're all helping each other, like you say.
absolutely. And I think probably the manner in which you kind of give the feedback is key as well. So if
100%.
you keep yourself in the kind of blue, kind of calm head and not fucking, riled up screaming, if you can keep
Mm,
yourself calm, giving it, that goes a long way, and it definitely more effective than someone who's kind of in the red, mad, crazy, and loses their head, kind of shouting. That's when it doesn't work, and that's when heads
yeah,
kind of can drop. So if you can give it kind of, calm, that's when it's good.
yeah, yeah, you seem to be able to stay in that kind of blue head a lot.
Yeah, I try to. There's moments that I drift into red. When it can spill over a bit, emotion and in the moment kind of stuff. But a lot of the time, I'd be more on the blue side. Yeah, I'd want to be really kind of pissed off to get into red. But probably when I play, I just unbelievably competitive. Even though I mightn't seem it off the pitch, just when I play sport or play rugby, I'm just massively competitive and want to win massively. So yeah, so that's it really. Yeah, that's probably me. I try and keep calm and
Yeah,
just let that kind of drift throughout the team.
yeah. What's been your proudest moment in rugby?
Um, probably my first cap for Ireland was special. I always say my first cap for Ireland because that's kind of what you want to do, and when you're a kid, you want to like all I did was go out in the garden, kick ball after watching let's say Ireland play in Lansdowne Road, like just that's all I thought about when they were playing. So to play and get your first cap for your country is probably my proudest moment. Again, just last year, the Lions tour, getting that kind of test cap, what I failed to achieve in 17, being able to achieve that in 21, that's definitely up there as well. So I suppose coming back from where I didn't get to in 17, and getting to it in during the next tours, that was
Yeah.
definitely a proud moment for me.
Yeah. And I know you said there earlier, like that you're watching the TV like everyone else. And I know that you can't get too far ahead of yourself, but like to everyone else in the world, Robbie, like that first 6 months and this whole last year, you've been like, you're the first name on that squad and you're just one of the best players in the world. But like, do you take stock of that, like of where you're at? Or are you still
Um,
realistically thinking that you mightn't get into that squad?
yeah, there's always that kind of I suppose that voice that, have I done enough to be selected? If you don't get a chance to start off, say I was injured at the start of November, um, will I be picked if I come back into the mix? Guys are doing well, and it's hugely competitive. So you always have that bit of a question over what the coaches are thinking.
Mm,
That's where I suppose
yeah.
you have to kind of put that aside, train well, and try and play well. And then I'm a huge believer in sticking to your process, sticking to what you're good at, and what's worked for you in the past. Don't go away from it. Don't change. So yeah, definitely, I'm a big believer of that. Just to help get myself ready for a big game.
Yeah, so to kind of like focus on what your strengths are and what you're good at, and just you do that and not be worrying about the 10 things that you can be better at.
Exactly. Yeah. You always focus more on your strengths. If there's little things that you need to get better at, obviously don't forget about
For
them. Don't
sure.
throw them aside. Work on them when you can. But again, focus why you're there in the first place. What's got you here, and keep building on that. Keep doing that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer of that. Um, so yeah, no, that'll be me kind of in the lead up to a game. It would be that, and doing those little kind of extras, those little 1% things at the end of training. Those for me it'd be like doing four tackle hits each shoulder with the bags, doing 10 passes on the run, wide and short passes, just small little ones to I suppose keep that level of skill ticking over. That'll be
Yeah,
me.
100%. That's class. Yeah. And that's every level. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, I know it's like we all love playing rugby growing up and it's, you get to do it for a job and it's like a privilege and all that. But even like I find myself like there's times when you're like, oh, geez, I'm a bit sick of this now. Like, are there times when, or were there times in the past when you weren't really enjoying playing rugby?
There definitely was, yeah. Yeah, being honest, I'm not going to lie to you. There was
Yeah.
definitely times where you get that bit of mental burnout, mental fatigue, and physical, obviously. But
Mm.
yeah, definitely had times where you're kind of not enjoying coming into training. You think it's kind of you just feel kind of a bit fatigued
It's a
from it all,
drag.
and I think that can be a bad place to be in. Certainly when things aren't going well, that's probably when those kind of feelings start to hit. So when performances aren't where they want to be, and the expectation, the external noises are coming in. So that's probably that's tough. That's a tough position to be in, and that's where you can get that bit of kind of mental fatigue. But yeah, I think again, it's about experiencing it, realizing what's happening, and then trying to deal with it and move on, and move past it.
Yeah. And what can you do like to get back to enjoying it again? Like I know you say they're like external. Like I was chatting to Portia Woodman last week, who's
Mm,
like won a gold medal with the NZ sevens and 15s, and is like player of the decade or stuff.
mm,
But she was saying that, like, you know, she goes on social media and the New Zealand Herald talking about how all the pressure that is on her to score tries, to win Olympics, to do all this, and she said you can't but look at it.
mm.
But do you find that as well, like that at times it can be difficult with that
Yeah,
coming from the outside?
yeah, not wanting to. I've yeah, I know it's a bit extreme, but I've deleted my Twitter like I'd say 6 or 7 years now. Still
Yeah,
have a profile, but just got rid of the app, signed out, haven't
yeah,
looked at it. Just wasn't you. I don't use it. I don't tweet. I don't. I was just looking at stuff I didn't need to, good and bad stuff. Um,
yeah,
and then it wasn't good for you. Like you don't need to. So yeah, and then yeah, I think it's hard to not read stuff when it's been written and you can see it. So that's why I got rid of that.
yeah.
A bit extreme, but it's worked for me.
I don't think
I'd
it
always
is.
I'd always tell my parents not to bring a newspaper into the house, and I suppose I got that from John Muldoon back in Connacht when I was younger.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, he's definitely another mentor that helped me along the way and a great guider for me. But yeah, I remember him telling me that in the Huntsman one time we were having breakfast. He's like, "Yeah, I just don't read papers. I tell my parents not to read them either." So I kind of told my parents that as
yeah,
well, and don't know if they still stick to it now. I think they do now that since I've moved
yeah, yeah.
moved on to Dublin. um,
Yeah, yeah, they bring the paper back into the house because you're
yeah,
gone.
yeah, because I'm gone. Yeah, um, yeah, and then I think again with the rugby stuff, when you feel that pressure to perform and the kind of weight of the world's on you. I think having that, so we have generally our recovery days on a Wednesday, just completely switching off. Absolutely no rugby on a Wednesday. This your recovery day, your rest day. You go and meet someone, meet a friend, catch up with people, and just don't talk about rugby. And I feel that
Yeah,
definitely has a huge effect. And then kind of closer to the game, being just having that switch off, just don't associate with rugby for periods of a few of some of the days leading up to the games. Just a couple hours where you're not kind of talking about it. That definitely helps.
yeah, 100%. Two things there. Like first with the deleting social media, like that's I
Mm,
don't it's not extreme at all. Like I deleted Snapchat a couple of years ago and then
mm,
deleted all the delete the apps off my phone. So like no Twitter on my phone, no
mm,
whatever to like stop me. So like every now and again I will, and
mm.
I'm not you. There's no one writing about me. But even
Yeah,
but even still it's just not good to be just scrolling all the time.
yeah,
And I think that's something that anyone can do is get rid of them off your phone because you don't want to be sitting on these apps just fucking scrolling for hours and
yeah.
whatever. And what was it? Sorry, there's something else there you mentioned. Oh, it's gone from
To
me.
switch
It's
off
gone
is it
from.
or
Oh,
yeah,
switching
yeah,
off. That's
yeah,
it. That's it. That's something that's so. It's funny you mention it.
yeah,
It's so important, I
mm,
think,
yeah,
because once again, like not to be saying, but I was chatting to Jimmy Goppert last week, and he was saying you played with him obviously in Leinster,
mm,
but he was like, he just seemed so chill. He's like, I go out surfing, golfing, whatever. And I was like, how do you keep going to like 38 or whatever and
yeah,
still at the top level? And that was literally what he said. He's like, man, I love the game. He goes, I love it. I'm so competitive.
mm.
But it's switching off and how important that is. And when you're a young player, you never switch off.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no switch off when you're young. Yeah, I can't
No.
emphasize. It took me a while to do it, and it was with Enda McNulty who taught me that.
Yeah.
He's like always on your recovery day, just don't think about rugby. Just try your best. I know you will, but don't think about it, and learn to do that throughout your career, and it's definitely helped.
Yeah. Yeah. He's class, Enda McNulty.
Mm, so good. I've used them since I got my first cap back in Houston, in Texas, back in 2012.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, he was there and still use him every for gearing up for big games. Yeah, I always give him a call and we'd have a catch up.
Yeah. So you would just check in with him just every couple of weeks or whatever and just have a chat. And like, it's not a case where, oh, things are going really bad. I'm going to call Enda.
Mm.
It's, hey, I'll just pick up the phone. It's a regular thing.
Regular thing. Yeah, he's more of a friend nearly at this stage. And
Yeah.
yeah, anytime he's there by the phone, we can just have a quick FaceTime. I'd send him a message early part of the week, being like, "Game coming up, like to catch up." And it's not a not like a crisis meeting or
Yeah,
anything. It's
yeah,
just
yeah. It's
preparation.
just a chat.
Yeah, just a chat, and he just good guy to bounce things off. He'd ask me about how my prep has gone, anything to record, anything to focus on. Yeah, he's just really good for that.
Yeah. You've been unreal at your time. I don't want to keep you too long, but just one or two more things. So I was thinking, with yourself and with professional rugby players,
Mm.
like the amount of injuries you get and surgeries, like
Mm.
how many times have you been under the knife?
One, two. I've been five times under the knife now. Yeah. Yeah, touch wood now, no more. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
yeah,
just
it's just
part.
part and parcel of the game, you know.
Yeah,
It's yeah, yeah, it's tough. It's a tough sport. Especially the injuries, you know, you can't avoid. They're the worst ones. Um, but yeah, it's. I suppose you have to learn to deal with it, and that's kind of dealing with adversity and coming back from a setback. And I remember it was Sean O'Brien who told me. I remember I was injured at the same time as him in Leinster a couple of times, and we rehabbed together. And he just always said injury was a challenge for him. He's like, I'm going to use this kind of time, build myself back up, and come back a better player, and just use that. So that kind of stuck with me when he said that to me the first time. I was quite young. I think it was about 24. He said it, and I was kind of like, that's a really good way of putting it. He's like, I'm going to come
mm,
back better person, better player, and just always focus on a challenge to improve. So that's kind of how we deal with it when it happens. But again,
yeah,
the initial reaction to having to go and get surgery is always, it's never nice, you know.
yeah, for sure. And is there ever any fear then when you're playing, like to be doing what
um
you do, like going in banging?
I think when you're going into a game and you're unsure of something, if something's not right or if you're a bit tight somewhere, that's not a nice feeling to have. um
Yeah.
I've had a lot of hamstring issues throughout the years. And when you go into a game with say a tight hamstring, that voice in your head, is it okay? Is it going to go? That's not a nice place to be. I'm sure
Mm,
everyone's been there at a high level. Everyone's had those little worries, but again, you kind of know your body. You get to know your body, and that's kind of what gives you the confidence whether it's okay or whether to pull the plug and say no, I'm not right. And that's a tough place to be in. That you say,
yeah.
okay, lads, it's not feeling right. It doesn't feel good. But again, I've learned the hard way doing that. I had a hamstring, small hamstring. Wouldn't even say it was tightness during the week of a game, and I did the warm up of the game, and I ended up like nearly tearing it off the bone in the warm up
Oof.
before the game, and
Jeez.
that was just a sign not to mess around with
A
hamstrings. And
lesson.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good lesson for me.
Yeah, yeah. Lastly, do you ever get nervous? Or do you
Yeah,
get nervous?
I do, unfortunately, but I think it's good. It's good to
It
have
is,
the nerves.
I
If
think.
if there's no
Yeah.
nerves there, it's there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Good nervous energy, not getting overly nervous. Um, but yeah, I think again to eliminate those nerves, it's all down to your preparation during the week. Have you done everything to the best you can? That kind of takes care of itself. Then you'll perform well, and then into the game when you eliminate the crowd, the stadium, all the outside noise, and then you get one positive kind of, say, a carry or a positive moment in the game early days, then the nerves are gone and it's just
Mm.
straight into it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Everyone gets nervous. It's funny when you're younger, you think, oh, I need to get rid of this. This is
Yeah,
bad. And it's like, nah, just got to
yeah,
live with it. Just got to embrace
mm,
it and, yeah, enjoy it.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Lastly, before I let you go, what's the Lions was the last one. What's kind of driving you now?
Um, yeah, probably just keep going, keep getting better,
Keep going. Yeah.
try and keep improving.
Yeah.
That'll be my view on things. Probably there's definitely more in my game that I can keep working on. without like taking away from my strengths, but
Yeah,
definitely areas I can improve. And keep enjoying myself when playing. Just be healthy and fit, and keep enjoying my rugby.
good stuff. Well, hey lad, thanks a mil. Been unreal catching up, and yeah, congrats on everything over the last year and last 10 years.
No worries, pleasure. It's great to be on with you, lad.